Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Here we go. Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We have a special guest on the line, Deanna Williams. Welcome.
Good to be here with you, Envy, Angela, and Charlamagne.
Yes.
Nice to finally meet you.
Can you guys hear me?
Likewise.
I just
Yes, we
switched
can hear
things
you.
up. Okay,
Yeah.
so now Deanna Williams, I know this is an important time because we have so many things to talk about, but it is also Black Music Month, something that you actually were one of the architects of. So let's talk about that.
Yes, Angela. In 1979, President Jimmy Carter hosted the first June Black Music Month event at the request of the Godfather, Clarence Avant, and some other prominent people in the industry. But the co-founders of this period of time are multi-Grammy Award-winning songwriter-producer Kenny Gamble, broadcaster Ed Wright, myself, and members of the Black Music Association. So yes, today is the kickoff, and it's the 41st anniversary of June Black Music Month.
Now tell us why it's so important that people understand and respect Black music.
Absolutely, Envy. It's very important because the music industry generated $20 billion last year. And when you look at the top of the charts right now, at the top of the 100 list of top selling records, 8 of those top 10 records are by Black artists. You guys know that. Hip hop is the #1 genre around the world, not just here in America, but all over the planet. So what does that tell us? Black people are making and selling a ton of music. And it's important because it's our culture and it's indigenous to America.
You know
it's
what?
made
So
by us, for us.
We talk about those billions of dollars, but I think a lot of it is not trickled down to the artist. A lot of us is not trickled down to the producer. A lot of it's not trickled down to the actual singer, which is very, very sad. People are making billions of dollars, and there are artists there that are still struggling, losing their homes, losing their cars, and that have sold millions and millions of records. That's the horrible thing about that.
I saw Raphael Sadiq just posting about that over the weekend.
Really, what did he say, Angela?
Hold on, let me pull up the exact quote because I don't want to be wrong, about what he said. But he was talking about these record labels and how the artists aren't profiting the way that they should be.
That's correct.
Do you think
that's no news? That's been going on for a long time, which is why, as a proud member of the National Museum of African American Music based in Nashville, we will be opening September 2020. It is an institution designed to highlight the contributions of Black folks in this country from the 1600s on to now. But we are also fighting for artists to get more, not just artists, producers, engineers, music makers in general, to get a larger piece of this $20 billion.
Hold on, I'm still trying to find, okay. He said, who you calling looter? Record labels are looting streaming companies. Looting streaming is the same as looting. If the deals weren't made deals directly with artists, it's looting. Facts. Don't take my words and turn them around. Go study for yourself. One morning we woke up and music was basically free. We can't stream Nike, rent, medical, or mortgages. He said executives didn't change the way their salaries were being calculated and distributed to them. Why not? It should have all changed, but it didn't. Music should have a real number, or should I say price? Who's paying the price? He said, even if you're signed to a record label, your streaming deal should be direct. I won't call this slavery, but the current system for streaming doesn't work for creatives. And it goes on.
The people, the amount of money that is being paid to songwriters and artists is minuscule. And who's making the lion's share of that? Of course, the record companies, the publishing companies. But that's another thing that we are fighting for at the museum, is that artists, creators of the music, are compensated and recognized. And Envy, back to your question about why is June Black Music Month important? Well, this is a multi-billion-dollar business. One, we don't tend to think of our music that way, but it is. It's created by Black people. It's co-opted and imitated by others. And we appreciate the compliments, but we want to be able to economically participate in all of these billions of dollars. And I might add, it's the everyday man and woman who's enriching the coffers of those major record companies. We want our fair share. So the museum is a repository. We have over 7 galleries of beautiful information, artifacts about our contribution. Our contributions keep getting overlooked. Black folks, we were forced immigrants to this country, and music is what we use to to soothe us in this terrible, situation where we were taken from our original homes in Africa, brought over here, and free labor for 400 years.
Right.
So what you hear in our music is passion, it's joy, it's pain, and it's our soundtrack every day. Think about how much music you consume. First of all, let me also just say that June Black Music Month is an opportunity to celebrate the three of you. You are promoters of the culture. Think about how much music you played, Envy, in your career.
Absolutely.
Okay? You play music that can elevate the spirits of people, and we use it to get us through hard times, good times, turn up, fall in love, fall out of love. Music is integral to our survival in this country.
Now, Deanna, before we even continue, because it still amazes me that I even know you, so I want to get into some of Deanna's history and how much you've contributed actually to, because for us, we're contributors too, but you're one of the biggest contributors. So let's talk about your history just as being a personality yourself before you even got this bill passed and all of that. Let's talk about who you are, Miss Ebony Moonbeams.
That's funny. Well, my background, like yours, I come from radio and television. I started at a time where there were very few women on the radio. In 1973, I started at WHUR in DC, which is 96.3, a heritage station. And I've been on the radio in some shape, form, or fashion since that time. But my love and passion for our music has driven me to become a music activist and to work very closely with Kenny Gamble, Ed Wright, in the beginning in the 70s to coalesce Black folks who worked in the music industry. So in addition to being on the radio and sharing information and elevation through the music, my agenda was always to make certain that Black people got the credit, got the money, the recognition, the accolades for the work that we've done. So for me as a broadcaster, you have a responsibility when you're on the microphone, much like you guys do, of sharing information that's going to empower our communities. And that's part of what the museum is about. So as a board member and the co-chair with attorney LaRon Rogers, Angela, you are one of our newest additions, and I have to thank you because your commitment is strong on so many levels in our community. And this museum is going to be an opportunity for you to bring your 6 children, Envy, for Charlamagne to bring his wife and family to learn the history.
I only got 5.
You have 5? Yeah, I think you had 6.
He's working on it. He might by the time.
Working on it. Maybe last night. Maybe you know something I ain't know. I'm gonna tell my wife last night. Maybe
in my crystal ball. Just call me when it happens, okay?
And let him know he can't keep on having these baby showers. You're only supposed to have like one. Every year he has a baby shower.
Oh, no, that's not right, Envy. Come on now. But you know what? He's taking very strongly to the statement of be fruitful and multiply. Okay.
Example. But you know what else though is fascinating to me, and I want to talk more about the museum, and I do of course want to talk more about Black Music Month. How you actually got this legislation passed, because I read about how you had never done anything like this before. And I know a lot of us right now feel really powerless as far as what can we do in our government to make things happen, to create change. And so can you discuss how that actually happened? Because I don't think people understand the process of how you can initiate that and actually bring about some type of change.
Oh, well, I appreciate you sharing that. Okay, so 1979, President Jimmy Carter hosted this big event that on the lawn of the White House. It had been done by the Country Music Association in years earlier, but then he said, June is Black Music Month. This was at the encouragement of the Black Music Association. Well, fast forward to when President Clinton was in office, I wrote him and asked him to host a similar event. Well, the White House came back and said, well, we've gone through the archives and we see where President Carter declared June Black Music Month, but go get us some legislation, come back, President Clinton will sign a proclamation and we'll celebrate June Black Music Month officially from the perspective of the White House and Congress. Well, Angela, I grew up in the Bronx and Harlem. I'm a New Yorican, okay? And what did I know about lobbying? Nada, nothing. But I'm passionate about our culture, our music, and our contributions. So I put on my most comfortable pair of shoes and started walking office to office on Capitol Hill, knocking on people's doors, writing letters. I was able to get the support of Senator Arlen Specter, who was a Republican in Pennsylvania, and also Congressman Shaka Fatah, who wrote the president on my behalf. So I'm a letter writing fool. I'm passionate, I'm assertive. And after several years, I mean, I wrote a commentary in Billboard magazine. We just really worked hard. And I don't want to take the credit alone because, again, there were a group of people, but I was out in the front pushing. And finally, the legislation, I wrote the draft for it. They put all the whereas, and it got passed. And then I was in and out of the White House, private meetings in the Oval Office with President Clinton, President George Bush, on and on. And that's basically the story of June Black Music Month. But we're in our 41st year. And again, I want to stress that it's an economic engine, and it's our American soundtrack. It's how we get up in the morning. It's how we function through the day. And now as we see American cities and international capitals supporting our efforts here in America against police brutality, music has always been, protest music has always been at the forefront of our endeavors here in this country. And it's no different right now. So as the co-chair of the Music Industry Relations Committee, and on behalf of Henry Hicks, who is the CEO of the museum, we're taking a strong stand in solidarity with people who are protesting around the world about the injustices of racism. Part of what the birth of Black music in this country was born out of the cruelty of racism. So, long answer to your short question, but that's how the legislation got passed, and it has been celebrated by every American president since.
I was going to ask, for Black History Month, what do you want people to do for this month? For Women's History Month, we do so much. We do this. For mental history, for mental month, we do this. What do you want people to do for Black History Month?
Black Music Month, yes. Black Music Month is a concentrated period of time for us to celebrate, recognize our legacy, where we are now, and anticipate and support those coming up for the future generations. Like I said a moment ago, I'm celebrating y'all because y'all are promoting the culture on the regular. You're funneling our music to our community. So what I want people to do during June Black Music Month and beyond every day is to support the artists that you love, teach your children. If you're a guardian, teach your children about your favorite artists, listen to young people about their favorite artists. Let us use our economic power to empower the artists that we love, support the companies. I'm big on refunneling my money back into Black companies and Black businesses. So I'm encouraging you to buy merchandise, stream the music of the artists that you love, teach about the artists that you love. It's an opportunity for us to celebrate and to say, I'm Black and I'm proud. We have a lot to be proud of in this country. Absolutely. As Black people who originated music that has influenced everybody, Post Malone, Rolling Stones, The Beatles, Adele. And if you look at their bottom lines and how they're profiting from their interpretations and appropriation of our music, is a big difference.
Absolutely.
Who is, okay, Envy, I'm gonna ask you this. The largest selling artist of all time, biggest selling artist of all time?
If I had to guess, I would say Michael Jackson.
Okay, which album?
Thriller, Off the Wall.
There you go, ding, 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 ding,
Yes.
ding. Knowledge is power, knowledge is power. Michael Jackson, who was the biggest grossing artist of last year? Okay,
Drake.
Angela, you. See, y'all, I can't teach y'all anything, but we need to continue to teach this. We need to let people know that Black artists are pop artists, popular artists.
Correct.
But because of racism, they've been locked out of so many opportunities. But like I said, Drake, Michael Jackson, what was the biggest record of last year?
Let's see if we know this one.
Last year.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a hint.
Yeah, give us a hint.
It is a record that incorporated, I would say, multiple genres in one song. And it originated out of TikTok and broke big globally.
But you should know, you're on TikTok.
My kids are I don't know. I really don't know.
Okay. Old Town Road.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Of course.
How did we forget
Little
that?
Nas
Of
X.
course. Of
So
course.
we're talking about a song with hip hop vibe,
Mhm.
country infused, R&B, and certainly pop.
And they
One
were
of the
so
biggest
mad.
records.
Country music was so mad about that one.
They
Ooh,
were.
were they furious or what? They couldn't deny it. And then when Billy Ray jumped on it, it just changed it. Again, because you had a young Black man, they couldn't accept it. And it was on the country charts. They
Right.
took it off.
They tried to
Again,
take it
another
off.
example
Yep.
of racism. We have to combat this. So what do we need to do? What else can we do during Black Music Month?
Mhm.
Is that we can use our economic power. If you don't like the way the music a record company is putting out or artists, protest, use your dollars, support the advertisers that support your show.
Absolutely.
I mean, we don't recognize our power. That's why I'm loving seeing young people out in the streets challenging. And this is different. Mind y'all, I protested and marched in the 70s, 80s, every era for the generation. I mean, I'm a good and grown woman, but I see now we're galvanizing in a different way.
Mhm.
George Floyd's name and the names of people that we will never, ever know, countless men and women of color who've been subjected to cruelty and murder in broad daylight. I'm proud and happy to see young people, grown people, all kind. I saw somebody in a wheelchair out protesting.
Right.
We need to raise our voices. We need to understand. We need to overstand our economic power and how we can use it.
We lost you, Dana.
I think her phone rang.
Okay, yes, it sure did.
Okay. Now, Deanna, I do want to talk about the museum, the National Museum
Yes.
of African American Music in Nashville. So this
Yes,
has been a
ma'am.
long time coming. So tell us, A, do we know when this museum is going to be open? What can we do to be supportive of it? And what can we see in this museum?
Angela, the National Museum of African American Music will open September 2020. Of course, we're in the midst of a pandemic. We're prayerful that things will be so that we can open physically. And if not, we will have a virtual opening of our 7 galleries, 56,000 square foot facility in the heart of downtown Nashville, across the street from the original Grand Ole Opry. So we are anticipating this American institution to be an attraction for millions around the planet to come to Nashville. And one of my first questions was, why Nashville, Tennessee? Why not Detroit? Why not Philly? Why not? Well, let's consider that every region, especially regions where you got Black folks, you've got specific types of music. Memphis has its sound. Philadelphia, where I'm speaking to you from today, the Philly soul sound. But Nashville also a strong gospel and R&B music capital from back in the day. So corporate entities, private companies, and individuals have come together. This endeavor has been going on. We've raised over $60 million. We're still raising money. I did a hard hat visit last year, and when I tell you, Envy, you've got to come and you've got to bring your kids. Angela's already committed, and we got to get Charlamagne down there as well. It is going to make you so proud to see this facility. And it's don't think of an old foggy type museum. We are a museum for everyone. We want young folks to come, to be engaged, and to learn that this is their history. It's our history. It's American history.
When does it open up, or is it open already?
September.
We're anticipating September, fall 2020 is when we're hoping. But again, we're in a pandemic. But our intention is if we cannot open physically the doors of the museum, we will do a virtual opening. And when it's safe for our patrons, then we'll open the doors totally wide. I'm real excited. And as I mentioned, as chair of the Music Industry Relations Committee, we have some of the bosses, men and women in this industry, young people who are concerned, like I am, about the preservation, the promotion of our culture. And this museum will be able to do that. And how can people support? They can go to blackmusicmuseum.org to become members of the National Museum of African American Music. Help support our movement. I'm passionate about it, and I want y'all to join me in this passion.
I'm definitely going to check it out. As soon as it
Good.
opens, I can get out.
Deanna, we have to get into some in-person talks at some point, because I do want to talk about you being kind of this coach for all of these artists that have to actually do interviews, executives, producers, whoever. I think that is so interesting, the work that you do with some of these artists and some of the people that you've had to come into contact with and help them through. Right now, a lot of people are going through things. You know, sometimes an interview can make you like or not like an artist. So
Exactly. And be what Angela is referring to, I do artist development and media coaching through my company, Influence Entertainment. I've been coaching high profile people for the last 26 years. I've worked with everyone from Rihanna to one of my faves, T.I., who I saw with Killer Mike and the mayor of Atlanta the other day. And that's what I love. I love artists that stand up. It's not just make the music. You got to be connected to the people who are making you the superstar that you are. T.I. is such an artist. I love Wale and his latest song, and Sue Me, and you know how he's transposed, and let's take a good look at racism. There are artists who are on the front line using their voices and their music to articulate, as Frankie Beverly and May say, our joy and our pain. So yes, Angela, I'm blessed to have the opportunity as an extension of my creativity and my commitment to educating young artists. I mean, all of my hip hop artists, I give them a book. I want to show you this book. I love this book. Knowledge is power. And I give this to all of my hip hop artists. To other artists, I give them other books and recommendations. This book is by Dan Charnas. It's the history of, are you familiar with this book, MV?
No.
I have that book right here on my bookshelf.
There you go. MV, you've got to get this book.
Yeah, love it.
This book is formidable. And Dan Charnas spent years of his life. It's about the history of the business of hip hop. So when I work with a young hip hop artist, I'm giving this book to them and I'm saying, I've never read the book cover to cover, but I dip in and I'm learning all the time. And for young artists, this generation of artists, it's not enough to just have tons of streams. That's not enough. You need to educate yourself. I worked with an artist recently, you'd be shocked. They signed a record deal without even knowing they had signed a record deal.
Oh my God.
And when they told me that, I know, I was appalled. But at the end of the day, a lot of people are just eager to get on. No, don't just sign something. You need to read it. You need to understand it. And you need to have legal representation so that you don't find yourself like a lot of artists who may have a hit record and no money and nothing to show for it. Who's profiting off their talents? We have to fix all of that. There are antiquated copyright laws that do not compensate songwriters and creators for the music they make. I mean, Little Richard went up to Capitol Hill complaining because he had signed such bad contracts where he practically gave away his music, but he didn't know. You know, when people are eager to get on, sometimes they sign whatever. I am working to not just have my clients do better interviews and present better publicly, but I want them to be whole, functional, knowledgeable entrepreneurs, and their business happens to be music. So why is Black Music Month important? Because it's our month, it's our music, it's our culture, and we should take great pride in that which we create and support.
Absolutely.
Deanna, last question. Do you think artists have a responsibility to speak up right now? We were having this conversation about artists and everything that's been happening with police brutality, with George Floyd, with coronavirus, with these disparities. Do you think that artists should be doing that?
Angela, most definitely. As I just said, I saw a press conference with Killer Mike. You've seen his very intense, powerful message, as well as T.I. and other artists. And I am calling on all artists, Black artists, to speak up. If not now, when? You know, we're talking about Black men and women who at any moment can be assaulted in a park, can be just riding a bicycle, just walking down the street, just living while Black. So we have a responsibility to articulate our discontent with systemic racism. And music is a powerful force to do it. Think about it. Nina Simone said, I'm Black and I'm proud. Curtis Mayfield said, we're moving on up. Marvin Gaye with the seminal all-time, What's Going On? D'Angelo in the Vanguard. I mean, artists have been speaking up. We need more, and everybody needs to speak up. The music industry is doing what they call a blackout on Tuesday, encouraging people not to work and to focus on ways that they can make a difference.
Right.
I don't like the term blackout. I would prefer it to be called a whiteout, but you know, why black? but we need to all examine how we can use music to soothe, to help, to improve the quality of our lives. And artists do have a responsibility, in my opinion, Angela, to do that. So come on, y'all, let's go.
Let's go. All right.
Let's go.
Well, Deanna, we appreciate you for joining us. Thank you so much.
Again, MV, thank you. I saw your interview with Benjamin Crump and just, tears came to my eyes. Why does this brother have to keep representing families where their daughters and their sons are murdered?
Right.
We have to change this. We really do. And I'm grateful to you, Angela. Thank you for supporting the National Museum of African American Music. And again, if people want to become part of our movement and support, they can do so by joining. Go to blackmusicmuseum.com. And happy birthday, June, Black Music Month. 41 years young.
41 years. And we're going to have you and Henry Hicks on as closer to when the museum is going to open so we can make sure we really ramp that up.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. Where did Charlamagne go?
He had to do First Take this morning. He was on First Take with ESPN. So,
okay. Very good.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you again.
All right.
I support you. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
y'all. All right. Bye-bye, Angela. Take care, MV.